Hey, 5th grade, take a look at what I can do. I can juggle. Maybe that's impressive, maybe not. Why do people like to show what they can do? If you're good at something, or if you get a good grade on a test, or maybe you were a little kid and you had show and tell, you like to show people things that you're good at or cool things that you have. Well, today we start a new chapter, chapter 16, and in our lesson today, uh, this is what America kind of does. They kind of show people different things that they're good at. They want to kind of show the world how strong America is. So, as we go through this lesson, new territories, look for different ways that America is showing the world its strength. So, chapter 16, becoming a world power. In this chapter, we get to see America from right before World War I in the early 1900s until right after World War II in the mid 1900s. So, our objectives for today, we want to list the territorial acquisitions during the late 19th century that the United States was able to get, and we want to explain the causes and events of the Spanish-American War. So, first one, our nation expands. You can see in the background here, this is a picture of one of the last states that America added to its 50 states. Government leaders, they were looking for new territories. They wanted to increase the nation's wealth. And so, there it is, Alaska. Alaska was a state that used to be part of Russia, but there was a time when Russia offered Alaska to the United States. We could purchase Alaska from them. And so Alaska was twice the size of Texas, but most people didn't think Alaska was worth much to buy. It was kind of up way in the north, out of the way of everything, and it was cold all the time. We couldn't use it for farming, so many people weren't sure about its resources or whether it'd be valuable to the United States. But William Seward, he convinced the United States to buy it. And so this purchase of Alaska was then known as Seward's Folly. And that word folly means like mistake, because people thought it was a big mistake that we bought Alaska, because nobody really thought it was going to be worth much. However, just like gold was found in California, later on, after we purchased Alaska, gold was found in Alaska as well. So we have the second gold rush, just like the one in California, this time in Alaska, where people are rushing there to find these resources. Also, Alaska has lots of fish, lots of forests, so we could harvest the lumber there and we could use it in the rest of the states. And lots of different minerals like oil and gold. Now, this is how big Alaska is. Each state here has a number, and that number tells us how many times larger Alaska is than that state. And so a state like the one that we're living in, Florida, Alaska is over 10 times the size of Florida. You could fit Florida into Alaska 10 times. Only 2.2 times the size of Texas, so about twice the size of Texas. And if you look at our smallest state, Rhode Island, 531 Rhode Islands can fit inside of one Alaska. So that kind of gives you an idea for exactly how big the state of Alaska is. Alaska is a beautiful state with lots of snow-capped mountains. Not a whole lot of people living there, though. This is a picture of the Northern Lights. There's certain things in the air that react in a certain way at certain times of the year, and that creates this amazing light display show up in Alaska. All right, another state that America gained around this time was the state of Hawaii. So you can see Alaska's up here, Hawaii's way down here. So Hawaii is a series of small islands, well, large islands, Let's try that again. Hawaii is a series of large islands in the Pacific Ocean. It's about 2,500 miles west of California. Originally, you had Hawaiians that settled over there long before America made it one of our states. The first Americans that came there in 1700, they were most likely missionaries or people who traded goods. And so we set up large plantations, since you can grow things year-round in Hawaii, different things that you can't grow in America, like sugarcane and pineapple. And then you have their queen. Her name is really long, kind of hard to pronounce. Liliuokalani, Queen Liliuokalani. She wanted to get rid of the Americans. You can go ahead and write her down that she was the Queen of Hawaii. So America, they led a revolt and they ended up winning the revolt. And so in the end, in 1893, Hawaii asked to join the United States and became a state. Hawaii, also beautiful, has lots of volcanoes and mountains, lots of ocean, obviously in Hawaii since it is an island state. Then we have the Spanish-American War. So, U.S. wanted to continue to grow, but some people thought that we started a thing called imperialism. That's where nations build empires by starting colonies. Some people thought that's what America was trying to do. And so Spain controls places like Cuba, Puerto Rico, the Philippines, and Guam. And we didn't have enough soldiers. And Spain didn't have enough soldiers to protect it. All those different small islands all over the place. And so Cuba revolts. And in February 1898, the U.S. Navy ship Maine exploded in Havana Harbor, Cuba. And so this leads to America declaring war on Spain. And so you have the start of the war over here on the Spain's Philippine Islands, which they also control. U.S. wins easily, and Theodore Roosevelt, he's one that leads the way, leading a volunteer fighting group named the Rough Riders. So you can write down Theodore Roosevelt. He would become president as well. And Rough Riders is a volunteer fighting group. Part of that fighting group was some African American soldiers, and together they defeated Spain at the Battle of San Juan Hill. Spain surrenders, and so because of that, the U.S. gets control of Puerto Rico, the Philippines, and Guam. Now you may know that Puerto Rico is still under U.S. control. It is not a state, it is a territory. So since Puerto Rico is a territory and not a state, it's a little bit different. It's still under United States control. However, they have their own government set up there in Puerto Rico, and their citizens are also citizens of the United States automatically. That started in 1917. And so they can move freely between the United States and Puerto Rico as if Puerto Rico were another state. That's all for the social studies lesson today. Tomorrow we'll have a second part to this first lesson with new territories, and we'll learn a lot about the Panama Canal and how that was built and why it was built. You have an index card. Your next index card is Washington. Washington, not a state that we discussed today in our video, but it is the next state you will be doing for your index card. Blessings on your day.